Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Harry Buffett. Welcome back to another Starcraft 2 Daily Masters. Unfortunately, the Liquipedia page is not loading up. I do not know why, but it's refusing to load that page. It's not my internet, it's that page. I checked it, so I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but anyway, we do not know anything about these players. Obviously, TLO plays for Team Liquid. I remember that much. I don't remember how old he is, but at some point in his 20s. And yeah, he's facing Genius down the bottom right side of the map, who we've never cast before. And I have no idea what LIGF stands for. I like to think that GF stands for girlfriend, but it probably stands for something else. And yes, we have no idea at the moment, because Liquipedia isn't working. So anyway, it's going to be TLO versus Genius. And Genius, I suppose we have to assume that he's... we could probably assume that he's not as good as TLO, simply because I haven't really cast a lot of games from him, and if he was better than TLO, then he would be in a lot more tournaments, and haven't really heard of him too much. So we can probably assume he's not as good as TLO. But then again, TLO doesn't get into a ton of tournaments either. He's never really up the top of tournaments recently. So yeah, you can sort of think what you like, I guess, about these two players, but we will see how good Mr. Genius goes. He's going for a Nexus before Gateway. Sorry, Forge Fast Expand, but getting the Nexus out before the Forge. I think that was before the Forge anyway, so yeah, pretty good stuff there. And Mr. TLO going for a pull before hatch build. Yeah, looks like a pull before hatch. So both players are, well, Genius going for a very, very heavy macro approach, and TLO going for a balanced, risk-free approach early in this game. And although it's really not all that risky to be going for a hatch before pull, but sometimes, yeah, it's a lot less risky going for a pull before hatch. And then of course you get all sorts of other benefits like early queens, much earlier lings, that sort of stuff. And yeah, so it's pretty good stuff though, although Genius getting the cannon out as well should be able to defend very, very easily early on. So it's not too much of a risk with this Nexus, as long as he does go for that Forge, which he did go for it. So yeah, both players are going to be doing a pretty good job. TLO jumping straight into the third base off the second base, as at one point he did have both of them building at the same time, so very, very fast into the third base, which is a nice little build. And should see a ton of workers coming out of this build very, very soon. He's actually behind Genius. Genius, of course, getting that base out and is now chrono boosting off both buildings. So building a ton of workers, but TLO is very rapidly going to be jumping over that worker count and just sort of pushing into the lead there. And we'll see how this goes in the mid game, how the workers turn out, because Genius is still pushing very, very hard ahead. Neither player really going for anything fancy, although I did just see a Stargate start to come up, and that is going to be very, very fancy, and also very, very important for TLO to scout out. If he manages to scout this out, then it is going to be crazy. The Stargate has already got the rally point on the Overlord, so you think that he's got to pop out a Phoenix and shoot this thing down ASAP, but the Overlord is going to scout the Stargate, and TLO most likely will be seeing a few Spore Crawlers all over his bases. Did he actually see? He has scouted the very edge of that. No doubt he clicked on it and saw exactly what it is. So yes, would not be surprised to see a few Spore Crawlers coming up. He's already got one queen per base, building another queen here, which is a nice starting touch. Although I don't know if that's because of the Stargate or just because of the fact that he wants an extra queen for creep tumors. But we do see a Roach Warren coming out. And the question is, what's coming out? It is going to be Phoenix. More Phoenix are expected on the way. So TLO is going to move fast if he wants to make any serious amount of damage done with these Roaches early on in the game, because once 4 or 5 Phoenix start coming out on the map, it's going to be so much harder for the Roaches to accomplish anything, because they're just not as fast as Phoenix going around the map, and the Phoenix can just sort of run them down, start sniping them off. Not easily, but it can be done. And unless you're throwing like 20, 30 Roaches at your opponent, the Phoenix are going to make a sizable dent in the sides of your army. And if you're sending out like a hit squad of like 7 or 8 Roaches, then the Phoenix can potentially completely wipe them out before they do any significant amount of damage. But we do have the Spore Crawlers coming out. The Queens coming out a little bit, hoping to spot some Phoenix. Does not see any. And yeah, So there we go. This guy is going to be burrowing over here, I guess. Right now, just scouting at the moment, but yeah. Look at that Ling, man. Just sort of hopping out of the way. Genius! Oh, genius. Not paying attention right there. That Ling could be the one that blocks your third or fourth base 10 minutes down the track. But he's not too worried about it. He's pushing very hard for Colossus, actually. Very, very hard. And he's going to have him out very, very soon. TLO is still just going for the roaches at the moment. And if he does get enough roaches, then he should be able to do something about the Colossus. But he's going to have to get a lot of roaches. Hydras are coming out as well, so he's starting to take the Phoenix threat a little bit more seriously. And of course, Genius has done a little bit of a genius move, maybe. I don't know. I'm not sure if it counts, but he has got a Colossus coming out straight after Phoenix. So if your opponent says, oh my god, Phoenix are going to get Hydras, boom, you got the Colossus coming out and they take care of the Hydras. So it is a smart play. We'll just have to see how it works out, because TLO is 67 over 45. His macro is looking very, very awesome. And I would not be surprised if he just goes ahead and just starts steamrolling Genius very, very soon, because, I mean, Genius may have a nice plan, Phoenix into Colossus, with a whole bunch of Zealots and stuff like that. It's not a bad plan. I think he could definitely make it work against a player of his own caliber, but I think TLO may be a little bit higher than that. And I mean, the economy is just showing it all right there, 69 over 45. Even though you expect the Protoss to have less workers, that's just a phenomenal amount of workers, and TLO is just going to macro himself into a victory, I think. He's just going to macro a victory out of this game. And I'm not sure what Genius is going to be able to do here. He probably will be able to hold off this wave, but with the amount of economy just flowing at him right now, look at all these Hydras coming out as well. There's going to be enough to cause the Phoenix give a little bit of pause. The Colossus are really the only thing that can potentially save Genius right now, and he's only got 2 of them. The third one is not on the way. And 2 is going to depend on the micro battle, because if Genius manages to get his Colossus in a good position and manages to hold on, he might be able to take a victory out here. But there's so many Roaches and Hydras, I'm still not even sure. If Genius does a bad job and the Roaches manage to snipe the Colossus, get in nice and close and just snipe him out, then I think Genius is completely boned. Absolutely boned. He just does not have the forces to stand without Colossus support, and he is still not building a third Colossus. So it's going to be very, very tight here. It's going to come down to the Colossus surviving. If the Colossus do not survive, then he is utterly screwed. Look at this other little force going to be jumping in here, maybe hoping to flank the main A. Oh, look at this beautiful flank from all 3 sides. Only a Genius of TLO's caliber, sorry, pun not intended, Ish would be able to pull off this 3-way hit right there. We got some nice force fields holding these guys off. So Genius trying to hold off as best he can, eventually warping out. But the way TLO did that, all 3 sides on this map, that is the work of an absolute strategic master right there. I would call him a genius again, but then it's just going to get too confusing in this game. So there we go. The Colossus are down. Genius could not save any of them, and now the Roach Hydra is just going to shred everything else. The Stalkers have no chance against this many Hydras. More Roaches coming out as well, and Genius does give the GG. So beautiful, beautiful stuff by TLO, and just the way that he did the attack over here, absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. Sending these guys down the side. I thought maybe they were going to push in here, but no, they came around the backside, and it was just timed perfectly. And all the force fields in the world could not have saved Genius in that position, man. It was just, or maybe all the force fields in the world could have saved him, but man, it's just so hard pressed to hold it off. And in the end, the Colossus did go down, and he had to warp the rest of his units out. But without Colossus, I don't know, man. If it was me, which it wasn't me because I'm not good enough to play that, but I may have warped out right at the start. As soon as he saw it on 3 sides, warp everything out, because that's not a battle you're going to lose. Just get the hell out of there. That's a horrible position to be in. Warp the Colossus out. Would probably have been a better idea, but he tried to make a go of it, lost his Colossus, and that was it. Game over. As soon as the Colossus went down, Genius had lost. So there we go. Daily Masters done for today. I hope you enjoyed this game, and I will catch you guys tomorrow with another one. So stay tuned for that. It's been Hairy Puppet.